It's 12 p.m. in Rome. You're sitting at your desk, mid-sip of coffee, when suddenly you feel like you've jumped forward in time. Your coffee is in a slightly different position. The cursor on your screen has moved. There's a sound you don't remember hearing the start of. You just lost the last 10 seconds. Here's the hypothetical. At noon Rome time, every single human on Earth instantly forgets the last 10 seconds of their life. No warning, no explanation. Time itself didn't stop. The world ran like normal. Cameras recorded everything. Animals noticed nothing. Plants kept growing. Even the coffee in your cup kept cooling at the exact rate it should have. The only thing affected is human memory. Every brain on this planet, in perfect sync, just had the last 10 seconds erased. And it's a one-time thing. There are no long-term side effects. Your memory works fine going forward. You'll never forget anything else. It's just this single surgical planet-wide blink. So, how fucked is humanity? Let's start with the most obvious problem, cars. At noon Rome time, it's the middle of the afternoon across Europe, evening in East Asia, early morning in the Americas. But focus on Europe for a second. It's lunch hour. Roads are packed. Now imagine every single driver in Europe simultaneously losing 10 seconds of awareness. You were merging onto the highway. You were in the middle of a lane change. You were checking your blind spot. And now, suddenly, your hands are in a different position. Your speed is different. The car in front of you is now a different car. And you have no idea what just happened. Your brain reflexively jerks the wheel. Multiply that by tens of millions of drivers across the continent, all panicking at the exact same second. The number of crashes in those first 30 seconds would be staggering. Not the end of the world, but probably the worst traffic event in human history. Now the trains. The trains are mostly fine because trains run on rails and the conductor doesn't need to actively steer. But the planes are a different story. There are roughly 10,000 commercial aircraft in the air at any given moment. Pilots in mid-approach, mid-takeoff, mid-turn. Most autopilots will hold the plane steady through the 10 seconds the pilot was gone. Most crews will recover, but a few won't, and a few crashes out of 10,000 is still hundreds of dead people in a single moment. Then there's the operating rooms. Right now, all across Europe, surgeons are mid-procedure. Some of them are holding scalpels and soft tissue. Some are clipping arteries. And every single one of them just lost 10 seconds of muscle memory. The hand doesn't jerk in a vacuum. When a surgeon is startled, they tense up. A few patients are going to die before anyone in the room realizes what's happening. Construction sites, welders mid-arc, crane operators mid-lift, factory workers mid-stamp. Anybody operating heavy machinery in a delicate moment is in serious trouble. And in the next 10 seconds after the skip, more people are going to die from confusion and reflex than from any direct harm the skip itself caused. But here's the thing, even with all of that, even with the crashes and the surgeries and the planes, the total death toll is probably in the low tens of thousands worldwide. Awful, tragic, but not civilization ending, not even close. Because most of the planet was fine. About a third of humanity was asleep. They didn't lose anything that mattered. Another third was doing something passive, watching TV, scrolling their phone, eating lunch, walking, sitting at a desk. They felt a weird jolt of confusion, and then they moved on. The last third was doing something active, but most of those activities don't really care if you blink out for 10 seconds. You were typing an email. You reread the last sentence and kept going. You were cooking pasta. You stirred the pot again. You were having a conversation. Your friend says, "Wait, did you just zone out?" And you say, "Yeah, I think so." That's a strange thing about a 10-second skip. It's just below the threshold of being civilization shaking. If it were 10 minutes, we'd have a real problem. Power plant operators would miss critical alerts. Air traffic controllers would lose track of dozens of planes. People would forget they put something in the oven. If it were 10 hours, the world economy would seize up. Contracts, conversations, decisions, all gone. If it were 10 years, you'd have hundreds of millions of people who don't remember their own children. But 10 seconds? Most people barely notice. The weirder consequences are psychological. Imagine being a witness to a crime. The robber walks in, pulls a gun, and at that exact moment, you skip. Now your last memory is the robber already standing in front of you, gun already raised, and you have no idea how it got there. Or imagine being mid-argument with your partner. They just said something cut in and you skip. Now you're staring at them, they look angry, and you don't know why. It's a tiny little hole in your life. But the contents of that hole are going to haunt you forever. And then there's the philosophical fallout. Because everybody compares notes. Within hours, the entire internet realizes the same thing happened to everybody. Within a day, scientists confirm it from camera footage. The skip is real, it was universal, and it has no physical explanation. The Earth's most respected institutions all say the same thing. We don't know what just happened. That's the part that breaks people, not the skip itself. The realization that something rewrote 8 billion minds in perfect sync, and we have no idea what or how or why. Religions splinter. Some say it was God, some say it was aliens, some say it was a glitch. That we're living in a simulation and we just witnessed the system stutter. The simulation hypothesis, which used to be a fun thought experiment, suddenly gets very serious treatment. Governments fund research into whether reality is computable. Defense agencies, terrified that whatever caused this could happen again, start pouring money into observation systems. The US Space Force gets a massive funding boost overnight. Conspiracy theories explode. There are people who claim it didn't happen, that the rest of the world is lying or hallucinating. There are people who claim it happened multiple times, and we just forgot all the previous ones. There's no way to disprove that, which makes it terrifying. But here's the part nobody expects. After about a year, the world basically goes back to normal. Humans are unbelievably good at metabolizing weirdness. The 10-second skip becomes a date on the calendar. The skip, capital S. Every June, articles get written about it. Documentaries get made. A generation of teenagers thinks it's overhyped because they were 3 years old when it happened and they don't remember. Insurance companies invent new policies. Aviation rewrites its autopilot redundancy standards. Surgeons get a new safety protocol. When in doubt, freeze, don't move. Nothing fundamental changes about civilization. We don't collapse, we don't ascend. We don't suddenly all become enlightened. We just have a new entry in the encyclopedia of weird things that happened to humanity, alongside the Black Death and the moon landing and the day the Earth's water cycle stuttered. What makes this hypothetical interesting isn't the damage. The damage is small. What makes it interesting is the proof. For the first time in history, every human being would know with absolute certainty that something out there can reach into their head. Not metaphorically, not psychologically, literally edit their brain. And whatever did it didn't bother to explain itself. That's the thing that lingers, not the lost 10 seconds. The fact that whatever took them never came back, never said anything, never did it again. Just one perfect surgical planetary edit and then silence. You'd spend the rest of your life wondering what's in that gap, and you'd never ever find out.